Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about why you can continually rotate your dynamic effort work and why it ultimately doesn't matter and it can be beneficial if you do. Because this is one of those things where uh, I've done this, I may not be doing this still at the time this video comes out, to where I've said, look, you can rotate your dynamic work every single week. You can change bars every week. You can go from bands to chains every week. You can go sumo to conventional. You do not have to run it in waves. It's not necessary. And I've had people say, but you're losing the practice. Isn't the point of this to practice the main lifts, whatever? But you are. Okay, you are practicing setting up a squat, bench, and deadlift, so on. Right? It's your first reps. You're getting a first rep in, and they carry over. These are low skill lifts. Again, a box squat for speed with a safety bar still teaches you how to back squat. Okay. A speed bench with a buffalo bar still teaches you how to bench press. It's not the point. So let's come over as to why it doesn't matter. People say, well, what about progression? Well, progressive overload isn't what we're chasing with speed work. And I know that sounds contradictory because we want progression on things. We want the bar weight to generally be going up. But with speed work, we don't progressively need to overload speed work. The bar weight on speed work is a product of raising your absolute strength. Okay? It's a side effect. It's not caused in this case by it. And here's what I mean. And this is why waves don't matter as much as people have made them out to be. I believe the waves are purely psychological. Some people get psychological benefits from the waves and increasing the percentage over a 3-week wave and then changing. Here's the thing. If you have determined that when you run 25% accommodation, right, and that's a good baseline, 25%, 30%, whatever, right, these are common. What do we mean by that? That percentage of your max in bands and chains. In other words, if your max is 400 pounds, when you run 100 pounds of bands or chains, you're going to know if you filmed yourself or you've used devices to determine velocity, you know that your best velocities are hit at whatever percentage of your max. Okay? 30%, 35, 40, 50, whatever it happens to be. If you're running that much accommodation, though, I guarantee you it's going to be less than 50. Where your best bar speeds are hit, right? Where we're hitting that 1 meter per second goal. All right. If you know roughly what your maxes are, does it really matter if the bars change it? In other words, do you really think your buffalo bar versus your football bar for your benching that your max is 50 or 80 pounds difference on them? No. I get it that the max could be that big with the safety bar versus a different bar. Like a lot of times we're really weak on a safety squat bar. Okay, so on that one you may need to say, well, I need to put a little bit less weight on there. I might need 10 less pounds for my speed work, or 20 pounds less, right? Because even if it's a 60-pound difference, what's 30% or 35% of that, which is probably what your bar weight is? It's going to be 20 pounds. Okay, so maybe your speed squats with a camber bar, buffalo bar might need to be 225 and they might need to be 200 with the safety bar. But barring that one bar, doesn't matter. You know roughly what percentages of your maxes you need to be at to reach the velocities that we need. We don't care about, of each week can I add weight to the bar for speed work. Because if it's coming at the expense of bar speed, it's not worth it. If it's coming at the expense of recovery, it's not worth it. The whole point with speed work is the compensatory acceleration. And repeatedly doing it. And getting a certain number of seconds of maximum force production per work set. Right? And your percentage isn't going to change. If your best velocities are hit at 40% of your max, when you add another 100 pounds to your max, that percentage isn't going to change. Okay? It's probably going to be that same for you for the rest of your life. And if anything, we need to err on being lighter. We recover better and still get the benefits. So we don't care about that. So you can change this stuff as much as you want. As long as we are in the rough intensity range we need to be in, and we're hitting the bar speeds that we want to hit, you can rotate them all the time. And you know what? For the more advanced lifter, this might be advantageous. If we change our speed work continually, instead of running it at a 3-week wave all the time, we can cut overuse. We're varying our training stimulus. And instead of us, hey, just getting good at a couple of versions of the speed work, we're getting explosive at every angle. You know, just how when we rotate max work and then say, oh, but then we get strong at every angle. We know how to push and strain at awkward angles without acclimating. Get that novel training response all the time. Don't we get the same thing potentially with the speed work? Now, I get it if you're a less proficient lifter. If you're a noob lifter, okay, you're a novice trying to run something like conjugate, yeah, you still need to learn some basic movement patterns. You're not going to want much variation even in your speed work. You may not rotate stuff really at all, other than, you know, conventional and sumo deadlifts. You might be doing the same box squat and same bench press every week for months, because you're still learning movement patterns, and so your speed work still contributes to that. But once you're a proficient lifter, that practice becomes less important. We're now practicing just being explosive. And if we're varying the training stimulus all the time, we're just learning to be explosive at every angle. Just like we learn to be strong and to grind through and to strain at every angle by rotating maxes, and we just get generally strong. The same thing can be applied to your speed work. It's like, again, a lot of the coaches who look at this say, okay, fine, you take a field, an athlete's going to play a sport. Let's forget powerlifting. Let's talk about being athletic. And you get an athlete who can squat 500 pounds on a normal back squat. Hey, that's good. That represents a real strong athlete out on a playing field. Okay? But an athlete who can do 6 different types of squats with 500 pounds, using different bars, using boxes, using pins, he's stronger at a lot more different positions. A lot of angles, just like what happens in sports, especially contact sports. And again, athleticism. Let's come over and talk about athleticism. Couldn't the same rules be applied to your speed work? Of course it can. You're now someone who can be explosive repeatedly at random angles all the time. Just like you can be strong at all these angles by rotating, we can also be explosive at a lot of angles. Random angles that we're not used to if we're changing them and rotating the stimulus continually. Okay, this has the potential to bring a lot of athleticism to the table. Again, let's talk about overuse. Let's talk about novel training response. You know, people say, but well, it doesn't matter because we're not getting progressive overload. Well, because we don't care about progressive overload on our speed work outside of the context of is our percentage, is our weight then moving up in ratio to our absolute strength. Right? And if your absolute strength isn't going up very much, then obviously your speed strength isn't either. So worrying about adding more to the bar isn't helping you. It's a non-factor here. And now you're just getting good at being powerful and fast through random positions and new movements all the time. This is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. So I just thought I would clarify that a little bit because there seems to be some confusion on it. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.